So for this class, we use some props, but very minimally. But if you don't have what we have, then you can use things around your house. So ideally, you'll have a mat and a block, at least. A yoga block can look something like this. If you don't have a block, you can use something around your house that maybe has the stability of this. You can also use a chair. So I'm going to show you how we'll use the chair for support. So in this class, this is a gentle yoga class. So you'll be able to do things in this class by using supports if you need them. So you can have the block or you can have a chair. So the chair, for example, if we're going to do triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana, then we can tip down to the chair seat so we don't have to go down quite so far. You know, so some of us will go down to the floor while some of us will use the block, and some of us will use the chair. You can also line up you can also do your poses right up in front of your couch. So then when you tip down, you can put your hand onto the couch. Okay? So then if you're using a chair, this happens to be a yoga chair, but you could also use a chair from your dining room, or you can use a regular folding chair. But then if you're using the chair, you'll just need to move it back and forth in between our poses. So I'm going to demonstrate the poses with the blocks, really for simplicity of movement for the video. So you can use a chair, a couch, or something around your house that works in a similar way. A stool from your, a bar stool could work. It's really nice also to be right up against the wall, so then when you are, balancing in these wide leg poses, then you have the wall behind you to support you. So if you have two blocks, put one on each side to start. If you are starting with a chair, you'll start with it on the right side. And if you're not sure what you'll need, you'll just have those things around you. Again, the couch could be right behind you, and you can use the couch as well. So let's begin in Tadasana, which means mountain pose. Press through the inner heel and big toe mound of your feet. If you can join your feet together, do so. If they need to be apart, then do just hip distance apart with the feet parallel to each other. And then lift through the side ribs up toward the ceiling and take your shoulders away from your ears. Point your fingers slightly toward the floor and then allow your head to relax. Lengthen up through the crown of your head, shoulders away from the ears. Tadasana. And then from here, we'll do what's called Urdhva Hastasana. So take your arms out in front of you, and as your arms go over your head, you'll move the inner upper arm toward the wall behind you. So taking those arms up, move the inner upper arm to the wall behind you, toward the wall behind you. Lengthen through the crown of the head and reach the wrists up. So shoulders tend to creep up when we're doing this pose. So you want to take the shoulders away from the ears, but lengthen the arms up. And then notice, do you still have weight in your feet evenly spread? Just notice if you're rolling to the inside or the outside. Reach those arms up one last time, and then bring the arms back down to Tadasana. And then so for this first wide leg pose, we'll jump or step your feet wide. And many people who are just starting yoga have their legs not as far apart, and then when we go into the poses, you have less mobility in the poses. So try to get those legs wider than you think you might need them if this is your first time. So take the legs wide, spread the arms wide, and turn your feet to the right. So the front heel lines up with the back arch. If you had an invisible line going from the heel to the back arch, lift the chest. And then before you tip down to the right, press through the outer edge of that back foot and the big toe mound in the right foot as you tip down. So this is where you can put your hand on the couch or the chair, or you can take it down to the block. There's 3 different heights. There's tall, medium, low, and then some of you might have your hand on the floor. So wherever your hand lands, you can also, for this pose, you can also put your hand on your shin. But wherever your hand lands, lengthen the top arm up off that hand. And open the chest, shoulders away from the ears. And then look up to those fingertips. If If there's any tension in your neck, look forward. Triangle pose, Utthita Trikonasana. And then to begin to come out, to go to the other side, we'll press through the outer edge of the back foot to bring yourself up. Toes forward. And then to the other side. Press through the outer edge of the back foot, the big toe mound and the left foot, and tip over the left side. So as you're going over, your torso is going toward the wall behind you. Your hand goes down to whatever height is best for you. Shoulders away from the ears, open the chest up. Chest looks up toward the ceiling, and then your head might look up toward the ceiling. If there's any tension in your head, just turn your head forward, or tension in your neck. If there's any tension in your neck, just turn your head forward. And then to come out, press through the outer edge of the back foot to come up. Toes forward. And I'm going to show you the jump, but you can jump or step your feet back together. So fingertips together and jump. So our next pose is called Baddha. Clasp your fingers together and take your palms away from your face. And then from here, press through the inner heel, big toe mound, and then take the arms up overhead. Press the palms up toward the ceiling. So it's this nice lengthening from your feet all the way up to the palms of your hands. Soften your face. Shoulders away from the ears. Oftentimes the shoulders don't want to creep up, so just try to take the shoulders away from the ears, press the palms away. Baddha. Now the first clasp that we do is the one that we usually use, but we also have another clasp. So you'll bring this hand, bring your hands down, and then you'll switch your clasp. So your front thumb moves behind your other thumb, and then each of the fingers move behind the other fingers there. So you end up with a second clasp. And then take those palms up, lengthening and opening that chest. Press through the inner heel, big toe mound, and lengthen up and off that space. Press through your inner heels, big toe mound, and lengthen the palms up, away from the feet pressing down. And then release your clasp, palms face each other, and arms down. So our next pose is Virabhadrasana 2, also called Warrior 2. Jump or step your feet wide. Turn your feet to the right. So with this pose as well, your front heel lines up with your back arch. And then bend, soften the center thigh and bend the knee so the knee is right over the heel. And then press through that outer edge of the back foot. And then notice if your torso is leaning towards your knee. You want to have your torso away from that front knee. And then you can look over the right fingertips. Shoulders away from the ears, soften the face. Notice also if your head is going toward the knee side, just have the head relaxed upright. And then straighten the leg, toes forward. And then we'll take our feet to the other side. Turn to the other side. Soften that inner thigh to the knee. The knee is right over the heel. And reach the arms wide. And then look over those fingertips. Shoulders away from the ears, soften the face. Virabhadrasana 2. And then straighten the leg, toes forward, fingertips together, and jump or step your feet back together. So this next pose is one where you can lean against the wall. For this pose, you could back up so your elbows are right on the wall. You could also have a chair next to you for support, like a rail. This next one is a balancing pose called Vriksasana, so tree pose. So we start in Tadasana, and then open up your right leg, and have the balls of the toes on the floor for a moment. And there are different versions that you can do with this leg. So I'll show you the highest one first. Lift that foot high up on your inner thigh. So there's the highest. So if you're doing that, you can stay there. You can also go to your calf muscle. And then you can have whatever you need for support. Or you could have the balls of the toes on the floor with your heel leaning against. But the whole whole time, each of those heights still is doing the same thing with opening that thigh, that right thigh. And then your hands also have different options. You can hold on to the chair. You can join your hands together in the middle of your chest. You can take your arms up for Urdhva, reaching those arms up, palms facing each other. Vriksasana, tree pose. Turn that navel toward the straight leg. And then notice if the knee is going forward, and try to take it back toward the wall behind you by rotating that top thigh toward that wall behind you. And then we'll come on down, back to Tadasana. So now if you're using a chair, you can move it to the opposite side. And now we'll do the left leg for Vriksasana. So the balls of the toes on the floor for a moment to soften that inner thigh. And then you can choose the height, either high up on that inner thigh. Sometimes our two sides are different, of course, so it might not be the same on each side. You can do your foot on the calf muscle, or you can do the balls of the toes on the floor. But softening that inner thigh to the inner knee. And then you can choose where you wish to put your hands. You could join your hands in the middle of your chest. You can hold on to whatever you're balancing on. You can take your arms up. So the arms that you have in this pose are same as the pose earlier, Urdhva. The inner upper arm goes toward the wall behind you. And lengthening those wrists up off that solid foot. And it's okay if you fall over in this pose. You'll just put the foot down and then come back up to wherever you are. Just be aware of what's around you to make sure you don't fall. And then bring your hands back together, back down for Tadasana. So our next pose is called Utkatasana, which means fierce pose. I'll show you facing you for the first time we do it, and then I'll show you from the side so you can see that the second time. So you start with your feet together if they go together, and if they don't go together, hip distance apart. And then we're going to bend the legs, bend the legs, bend the legs, and soften the inner thighs, and then reach the arms up. So it might be hard to see from the front. So you stay in it for a moment. I'm just going to show you from the side. Soften the inner thighs, taking the tailbone toward the floor and lifting the chest up. Fierce pose. So lifting the arms up, like that Urdhva arm we had earlier, lifting those arms up, taking that tailbone down, soften the inner thighs, and then you can come out and rest, reaching up, and then we'll do it one more time. So you can rest your arms for a moment, standing in Tadasana, and then we'll do it one more time. So I'll turn to the other side, press through my inner heels, big toe mounds. Feet are together if they go together. And as you bend, soften the inner thighs. And the outer thighs actually go up. And then lift the side chest up, reach those arms up, tailbone toward the floor. Utkatasana, fierce pose. The arms for Urdhva, lifting, lengthening, and then we'll stand up, and then arms back down. So that was Utkatasana. So the next pose is called Adho Mukha Svanasana, also called downward facing dog. So this is one where you will have different options. You can use a wall for this one, it's really great. You can use a chair again. So if you have your dining room chair or your folding chair, you can use it in different ways. So first I'll show you what the pose will look like, and then I'll show you the different variations that you can choose. So Adho Mukha Svanasana is downward facing dog, where I place my hands shoulder width apart, spread the fingers wide, curl the toes under, and lift up. And we'll do this together in a moment, but this is what downward facing dog looks like on the floor, but there are different versions. You can use the back of the chair and just have your hands on the back of the chair and lengthen. You can lengthen, press the thighs back toward the wall behind you, and opening up the chest. You can also do the medium height. Just want to make sure that the chair doesn't slide. So you can put it right on the mat or have it against a wall. And then this one is another version of downward dog. And then those of you who want to go to the floor, you go to the floor. So let's do that together from whichever height you're going. If you're on the floor, spread the palms wide. Hands are shoulder width apart, and the feet are the same distance apart as the hands. And then you'll curl the toes under, lift the hips up toward the ceiling, press the thighs back, and lengthen. So press the thighs away from your head, and then let the back of your head go. Adho Mukha Svanasana. So I press through the pointer finger mound and lengthen through the inner shoulder up toward the hips. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And let's come down and we'll do it one more time. If you tried it on the higher height and you want to come to the medium height, you might want to try that. If you did it on the medium height, you might want to come to the floor, whatever you would like to try. So let's go again. So spread the palms wide and move from the little finger side toward the pointer finger side. Press through the pointer finger mound down. Extend from that pointer finger mound up through the inner shoulder, and from the inner shoulder up to the hips. And lengthening. Press the thighs back. Soften the face, let the back of the head go. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Also called downward facing dog. And then we'll come down. And you can sit up. So the next pose is called Chatushpadasana. So there are two different ways you can do this. One, you can use a block, or you don't need a block. So I'll show you both. So I will lie down. So I'll show you first before you do it, and so you can see before you lie down. So I have my feet walk right into my buttocks, and then my arms are lengthened down toward my feet, and then I lift my buttock up, roll my shoulder under, and then lift the buttocks up toward the ceiling. So I press through the inner heel, big toe mound, lift my buttock up toward the ceiling, and lift that upper back toward my face as well. So I try to get to the tops of those shoulders. Lifting up with that buttock, soften the inner thighs, lifting up with the outer thigh, lifting that upper butt back again. And soften the face. And then the other version that I was talking about with a block is if you want to, you could put the tall block underneath your tailbone and rest on that. For some of you, it could be the medium block. For some of you, it could be the low block. I would go as high as you are able. Sometimes you can go up onto your toes to get up onto a higher height, and then extend through the inner heel down. Okay, so let's do that together. So the first thing you'll do is lie down on your mat. If you want to try the block, have the block nearby. Walk your buttocks. Just going to get the block out of the way. Walk your feet towards your buttocks. And then lift. You'll start lifting the buttock up. As you lift the buttock up, you roll a shoulder under, and lift up. Lengthen the hands away from the ears, and use your buttock lifting up, the outer thighs lifting up, the upper back lifting up toward the face. Soften the abdomen, soften the inner thighs. The outer thighs go toward the ceiling. And then we'll rest. As you come down, you'll unroll the shoulders, rest for a moment, and then we'll do a second one. Okay, for the second one, walk the feet back toward your buttock, and then lift your buttocks up, roll a shoulder under, lengthen those hands toward the feet, lift that buttock up, soften the inner thighs,
outer thighs go up toward the ceiling. Your upper back lifts up towards your face, up toward the ceiling, toward the face, sort of. Lift that upper back up. Tops of the shoulders soften the face. So your back body is working tremendously. Your abdominal space is relaxing. And then roll down, or unroll the shoulders to come down, back to resting. And then roll to your side to come up. So this next pose, it would be nice if you have a wall space to do it. If not, you can put your legs on a chair seat or a couch seat. So if you have blankets, you can use blankets, you can use a pillow, you can use a block. So I'll show you the version with the chair because most people will have available to them a chair seat or a couch seat. And then I'll also show you the version at the wall. So you would sit next to the chair and roll down and put the feet up, the legs, the calf muscles up on the chair. So this could be one version of it. If you want to have a little more inversion, you could lift up and put the block underneath. And you would, move so the couch or whatever is comfortable. Another version would be to put blankets under here and get a little bit higher. Or the last version that we typically do in our class for gentle yoga is Viparita Karani, legs up the wall. Viparita Karani actually stands for inverted lake pose. So when you're in this pose, your abdomen becomes the lake, nice and still. So I have my blanket about 6 inches from the wall, and then I sit next to the blanket, and I lift my hips right up on the edge of the blanket, keeping my buttock toward the wall, and then I take my shoulder and take it down right close to where my leg is, right close to the blanket. So I take my shoulder down, and then I roll up. So my legs end up on the wall. So Viparita Karani. This is a wonderful pose for just before you go to bed. It's calming on the nervous system. And so here's where our lake, our relaxed lake comes into play, softening the abdomen. And then the shoulders are under just gently, and the arms are straight out or closer to the wall than straight out. So the legs are active in this pose, but your abdomen and your face are relaxed. So I extend through the inner heel, big toe mound. Soften the abdomen, soften the face. The back of my skull gently releases away from my shoulders. Let go of any tension in your face. Let go of any tension in your abdomen. Extend through the inner heel, big toe mound. And then to come out of Viparita Karani, bend your knees, slide your legs down the wall, and then roll to your side, allowing your head to just be supported by the floor. Roll to the side. Remember, this was an inversion, so you want to take your time coming out. And then use both arms to push yourself up. And then we're going to go into Shavasana. And Shavasana is the last pose that we do where we just completely let go of our body and hopefully our mind, and just soften into lying flat on your back. So you can have a little something under your head. And then try to move any props out of the way that might get in your way. And then we'll lie down. Only your head is on the blanket. Your shoulders are not on the blanket. And so then you extend one leg out and the other leg out. And then allow the legs to just completely relax to the side. And then the inner upper arm flows very gently toward the ceiling as the palms face the ceiling. If you need to lengthen your low back, you can grab the edge of the mat and drag this way a little bit. And then begin to let go. Soften the muscles on your face. Let go of any tension between your eyebrows. Softening from the middle of your forehead out to your temples. From your temples down toward the back of your head. Lengthen the back of the skull away gently, which brings your chin down ever so slightly. Soften the muscles of your jaw. Unhinge your lower jaw from your upper jaw. Soften the face. Soften the muscles of your neck and throat. And relax from your shoulders all the way down to your half-open hands. Soften your muscles in your chest and your abdomen. Relax your muscles of your hips, relaxing down towards your feet through your inner thigh, your inner knee, letting go of your inner ankle, and allowing those feet to completely relax out to the side. And then your next exhalation, imagine that you can melt right into the floor. begin to come out of Shavasana. Bend your arms, put your hands onto your front body. It can be on your abdomen, your ribs, your chest, wherever it's comfortable. Allow your elbows to rest on the floor. And then bend your left leg, put your foot on the floor. Draw your right arm up and over your head. That arm becomes your pillow as you push off your left side and roll to your right. Bring the knees together for comfort. And then allow that top shoulder to roll down toward the floor as you use both hands to push yourself up into a seated position. Whatever seat is most comfortable for you. And then there's a tradition that we say at the end of yoga sequences that says namaste, which means the light in me honors the light in you, or the best in me greets the best in you. So we join our hands together in the middle of our chest and say namaste. Thank you so much for joining us for our gentle yoga class today.